Thanks for coming here. I'm really humbled to present today in the workshop. It's actually my first presentation in a conference or workshop as a PhD student. I'm a young researcher in human-robot interaction, so any feedback from you will be really, really appreciated and valuable for me. So I remember back in the days when I was a kid, my mom was working in the hospital and she was a nurse, and her task was to lift a patient and move a patient. So I saw my mom really struggling to lift the patient, and that really stuck with me. Then, then I became an engineer and followed the path that my mother didn't follow, and become an aerospace engineer. And then one of the days when we went to testing our autonomous landing software, we wrote the software and we spent weeks as engineering time. And we went to field, and then on a day, the pilot said, "No, we are not going to fly the plane." Why? Because the weather is cloudy and there might be a backwind while plane is landing, so the plane can go off the track. And that really also, that feeling of getting rejected when going to experience the real world test of the software really stayed in me. Years later, I'm a PhD student now, and those two incidents, two scenarios really shapes my PhD journey today. And I'm in the Robotics Institute at UTS, and we are building this robotic hoist that can actually help nurses to lift the patient, to deal with the struggles they face. And one day when I was working in the lab playing with the robot, the business school professors came along, and then they were also interestingly keen on exploring what are the barriers of adopting this technology and bringing it to the hospital environment. And then we had a small chat, and then I gave some experience of mine, and then we were interested in exploring what are the possible negative events, potential adverse events can happen, similar to the case where the plane landing, a negative event can happen. Well, they suggested to talk with the actual medical staff from the Faculty of Health, and then we had a conversation with them and figured out what are the possible events could happen. Then we constructed the lab scenario where the nursing students actually are going to test out the AI-assisted robotic hoist. And you can see that we tried to make the scenario as real as possible with real human patient and a real human nurse. That's an end user of the robot. And the task was to lift the patient from the bed to the chair and back to the bed. What we figured out as lessons learned is that the way we introduce robot really affects their first interaction. And we believe that it is important to develop introduction guidelines and to not oversell the robot. And then business school suggested, oh, maybe you can go along with under-promising and over-delivering to have a good strategy to build an interaction with the user. Second thing that we haven't thought about before interaction is that there is a second human being, and it's not just about the nurse and the robot interacting, but also nurse and a patient communication. And we believe that in the next experiments, there should be features of a robot developed that tracks the human and a patient, nurse and a patient interaction. And finally, the third point we want to make it here is that as an engineer, we usually tend to go along with the quantitative methods. We like numbers and we want to work around with numbers. But it turns out that in a work where humans are involved and interacting with a robot, there is a qualitative aspect as well. And through the help of business school and the Faculty of Health, they also suggested that interviews, the unstructured interviews, are quite valuable, and they actually tend to give more honest results than controlled survey measures. So there should be a methodology of combining both quantitative and qualitative methods together to develop the robot decision-making algorithms. Well, that's pretty much it from my presentation, and this is our interdisciplinary team. And finally, the point I want to make here is that we measure trust because at the end we want to manage it, and we cannot manage what we cannot measure. If you have any questions, I'm happy to have them. Thanks.
Thank you, Russell.